Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We know how tight things are. We know there is the cost of living crisis, and we know there's at least a 1.5 billion official black hole in the SNP's budgets. It's probably nearer 2, if not more, than £2 billion. Things are desperate. They are cutting every service they possibly can, with the exception of independence. 30 million, for example, off mental health care, and below inflation rise everywhere else, except for some places we're actually making an actual cut rather than just not increasing by the rate of inflation. And so it comes amid this kind of fiscal mismanagement, massive fiscal mismanagement, that there are questions now into why they're spending so much money on jobs for their mates. £16.6 million being spent on commissioners and these tsars and these very highly appointed, very highly paid people who actually are not elected, they're not required, they're not doing anything of any use. It is just simply, oh look, if we have this, I'll get a mate in and we can pay him off the public purse. It's little more than that. They don't do anything. They have no legal standing. And it's about time that a lot of them were fired, because there's none of them that are particularly useful, and that the control of these things is handed back to elected officials and make them do the work that they were actually employed to do. We'll have a look and see where the money's being wasted. Here goes. So, probe is launched into the SNP's £16.6 million spend on paid commissioners amid a public funding crisis. These people, jobs for the boys, 16.6 million. And what do they actually do? What is their metrics? What is their value? Because as far as I can tell, it's none at all. It's just, look, let's just go and spend this money on this guy over here. He's a really good guy. Let's create this role. Yeah, okay. How much will we give him? I don't know, $250,000 a year? Yeah, that'll do. It's only the people are paying. It's not coming out of our pocket. That's literally how these things work. SNP MSP Kenny Gibson is spearheading the Scottish Parliament probe into whether the tsars are making too much money from the public purse. If they're making a penny, then the answer is yes. He's considering the budget issues currently facing ministers, with every department, with the exception of independence, either having a below inflation rise or, in often cases, actual cuts. This is going to be ridiculously bad. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it's going to be. It is eviscerating the services that are required by law. Public health, social care, housing, all sorts of things eviscerated. However, don't worry. The push for independence goes on. And whoever comes in, and it's probably going to be a Labour government next time, day one, the very first thing, the very single first thing they must do is change the law to make funding for independence illegal at a government level. It must only be party political level. No public money must be spent or may not be spent on independence. Do that first and show the people that you mean business. Anyway, a probe is being launched into the £16.6 million spent on commissioners in Scotland, following concerns whether it is value or for money for the public purse. And of course the answer to that is no, it definitely is not. There are currently 7 stars. Stars, what's wrong? Actually, if it was 7 stars, it'd be the Pleiades, wouldn't it? Anyway, there are currently 7 stars working across different departments, which will rise to 8 in the next few years. Incidentally, just a little side plot because it came into my head. The 7 stars, the Pleiades. If you've heard of the car, the Subaru is actually the Korean, I think, for the Pleiades. It's the same constellation, which is why their symbol is the stars. It's the same constellation, but that's there now. We call it the Pleiades, they call it Subaru. There you go. Thanks, Dave. Interesting tangent. Get back to it. However, with the country suffering a public funding crisis, with a series of deep cuts being made across all sectors, including mental health, which I mentioned, and Nature Scott, MSPs will explore whether the money is going to the right place. No, it most definitely isn't. If a single penny is going into independence, it's not going into the right place. And if a single penny is paying these tsars, it is not going to the right place. The right place is public health, both NHS and social care, and education. Get those two things sorted out before you tackle anything else. The Scottish Parliament has launched an inquiry into the number of commissioners the country employs at great expense. Now, it's talking that there's going to be 8 of them at 16. That means, on average, these guys are on average over £500,000 a year. I'm pretty sure £500,000 a year would be better spent. You know, that's £500,000 each, remember. I'm sure that would be better spent employing doctors and nurses, teachers, things like that. Things that actually matter. Things that are actually important to people. Who cares about these commissioners? These commissioners are doing the job that the lazy MSPs can't be bothered to do. That is effectively it. The officials currently include the Information Commissioner and the Commissioner for Ethical Standards in Public Life, with money used to pay for them and also their offices. A patient safety czar is also expected to be appointed following the passage of a bill in September. Now, the patient safety czar, that should come under the health secretary. The trouble is, of course, we've got a health secretary who can't even do his job as health secretary, so it's pointless giving him any extra work. He's too busy worrying about the awfulness of what's on his iPad. The budget for them is 16.6 million, but there are proposals to work from the Scottish Government and backbench MSPs, which could see up to 6 more positions be brought in, including victims and witnesses, older people and those with disabilities. Perhaps if you didn't vote in such awful, unethical, immoral, stupid, corrupt politicians, you wouldn't need all these czars to look after them and to hold them to account. You know, we can save a lot of money by not voting in people like Michael Matheson, for example. How about we vote in decent, ordinary people who aren't in it for all they can get, who aren't corrupt, who aren't stupid? Let's make it a rule that every MSP and politician has to do, for example, an IQ test, and anyone under, say, 110 should be disbarred. Let's only have the intelligent ones there. Anyone who hasn't got, let's say, 10 years of real life in a job experience. That way you get rid of all these professional politicians that have come up, never got a qualification, never done a hand's turn, never contributed to society, and yet sit and feel that they can tell us what to do. Ross Greer, you know. They've got to get out there. Have to have IQ and at least 10 years in a proper job before they go into politics. Bada bing. Those two things alone will create better politicians, I think. Anyway, MSPs on the Finance and Public Administration Committee have launched an inquiry into whether the more coherent and strategic approach should be taken in the appointment to such positions. Convener Mr Gibson said 7 commissioners costing 16.6 million, according to budget figures for that year. Each office comes with its own staff and its own running costs. So it's 16.6 million for the commissioners, plus the offices, plus the staff. It's a joke, isn't it? The smallest costs 0.3 of a million, the largest 6.7. More are being proposed or considered, both by the government and by the backbench MSPs. Our committee believes this inquiry is both timely and necessary. Not having them is necessary. We don't need them if we had decent MPs and MSPs. The only reason you have to have these commissioners is to protect us from their corruption, ultimately. Or their stupidity. Take your pick. Or often both, of course. It's entirely possible to be both stupid and corrupt. One only has to look at Michael Matheson. The Scottish Government has already stated there is very little published research on commissioners in Scotland or the UK, and little evaluation exploring their pros and cons. Definitely cons. In fact, anything to do with the government. There's an awful lot of cons, isn't there? Our committee will therefore investigate whether a more coherent and strategic approach is needed for the creation of such commissioners in Scotland. I would suggest stop creating them and tell the MPs to get on and do their job properly. Coming up. There you go. It's going to, if you can basically double the number of commissioners. So you're going to be looking at 32 to 35 million pound a year just on these commissioners and their big fat arse wages, plus their offices, plus their staffs. It's a lot of money being wasted at a time when they keep saying they haven't got money. Well, no. I mean, if your kid's got mental issues, you know, well, I'll go and see some kind of mental health professional. Sorry, can't get in. We've closed that department because we've had a £30 million cut to our budget. But hey, look, there's a guy over there earning an absolute fortune. Great. What a bunch of toss, isn't it? It really is. It's a bag of shite. And it's not needed. If you had honest, decent politicians, you wouldn't need a whole bunch of people watching them like hawks to make sure they do their job properly. Where's the decency gone? For Christ's sake, it's annoying. Anyway, I won't get angry. I'll just stop because I've got many more things to get through. Thank you very much for watching. Do please keep watching. Do please hit the subscribe button. We are getting close. We can get 9,000 by Christmas. Anyway, till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will talk to you later.